Good day, viewers, and welcome once again to your class on English grammar. So for today, the topic we have here is cohesion and coherence. So we're looking at the topic cohesion and coherence. Now, to start with, when we speak or write, we often use certain devices to create what we call unity and relevance. Unity and relevance. And then these devices are used in communicating. So when we speak or write, we often use devices like these to create. We often use some devices to actually create unity and relevance. And then when we talk of cohesion and coherence in a piece of communication, we refer to the phenomenon of achieving unity and relevance. So by cohesion, we're looking at how unified are the elements within the text, and by coherence, we're looking at how relevant these items or these elements or these devices are. Do you understand that? So your linguistic elements, your words, basically, we're looking at how unified are they in the text and how relevant are they to the whole text. How connected is there a connection between all of the words that you've used in creating the whole of the text? That's what we talk about when we discussed cohesion and coherence. The question then is, what then is cohesion and what then is coherence? Cohesion is a grammatical terminology that relates to how texts, that is words and sentences, by text we mean words and sentences. So cohesion relates to how texts are held together lexically and grammatically as a whole. I go over that again. So cohesion is grammatical terminology that relates to how texts, words and sentences are held together, how they're held together grammatically and lexically as a whole. Now, what do we mean by this? Now, it refers to a relation of meaning that exists within the texts in which sentences can be interpreted as being connected based on the use of some grammatical and lexical elements. By grammatical and lexical elements, we actually mean words. So we mean that have we been able to use words, whether grammatical words or lexical words? And by grammatical words, I hope you still remember. If you don't remember, just go to our video on lexemes, or better still, lexical items, so you'll be able to learn more about grammatical words and lexical words. Now, so how grammatical words, something like maybe pronouns, and lexical words, something like maybe nouns or verbs. Nouns. So how have all of these been combined together to create unity in a text? So I go over that again. We say that cohesion refers to the relation of meaning that exists within the text in which sentences can be interpreted as being connected based on the use of some grammatical and lexical elements. It occurs where the interpretation of some elements in the text, is dependent on that of another. So the question is there a particular noun that has been used in the text, and then does the noun, the meaning of the noun, does it depend on a pronoun that has been used before? Or is there a particular pronoun that has been used in the text, and does the meaning of the pronoun, does it depend on the noun in the text? Do you understand that? So that's what we're looking at under cohesion. Like, it occurs where the interpretation of some element in the text is dependent on that of another. A noun has been used, but we need to understand, a pronoun rather has been used, but we need to understand what gave birth to the use of that pronoun. Or a noun has been used, and we need to understand what gave birth to the use of that noun. That's what we talk about under cohesion. Do you understand? Now, some elements that, what we mean by this is that there are some elements that cannot be effectively interpreted or decoded without recourse to the other elements in the text. Now, let me give you something like an example of this. James is my friend. He, however, isn't always loyal. Now look at this E and look at this James. If I never mention the whole of this statement, James is my friend, you may not understand where this E is coming from. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. But then by the fact that you've heard the first statement which says James is my friend, then you can now understand who this he, the pronoun he, the personal pronoun he, refers to, and that is who? James. I hope you understand what I'm trying to. So that's what cohesion is all about. Like cohesion, under cohesion rather, we're looking at the fact that how is the meaning of a particular lexical item or a particular word, how is it being decoded? And it can only be decoded by paying attention to an initially mentioned lexical item. Do you understand? So the idea of cohesion talks about the fact that a grammatical element or a lexical element, words generally, cannot be interpreted properly without recourse to some other element or some other words in a particular text. I hope you understand what that means. Now, what then is coherence? Let's go to coherence. Coherence, on the other hand, has to do with sense. And what I mean by sense here, when a text, it deals with a situation when a text or a discourse makes sense to a reader. Now, by coherence, we're looking at the fact that the whole of this text, or the whole of this passage, or the whole of this discourse, does it make sense to any reader or to any listener or to all? In writing, it means that all the ideas in a paragraph flow from one sentence to another, that there is a flow of meaning. There is a flow of meaning of different words that have been used in the text. So in writing, we mean that all of the ideas in a paragraph, they flow from one sentence to the next, and from one word to another, and from one paragraph to another. So it covers the logical presentation of related ideas. Logical presentation of related ideas. And also appropriateness. It also covers appropriateness of language and style. So used in a paragraph or a text at large. So under coherence, we look at the logical presentation of related ideas. We look at the appropriateness of language and style that have been used in a paragraph or in a sentence or in a text at large. I hope you understand what this is all about. So to summarize everything we've discussed here, we talk about the fact that cohesion looks at the unity in a text. And by unity, we mean that what is the relationship between one lexical item, one word, and another word in a text? How dependent is the meaning of a particular word or a particular linguistic item to the meaning of another particular linguistic item? That is under cohesion. But under coherence, we look at, is there a correlation of meaning, or is there a is there a bit of sense in the all of these texts? Is there a logical presentation of ideas? Are the ideas related? And is there an appropriate use of language and style in a text? So that is what we discuss under cohesion and coherence. Follow to the next slide and let's see what happens again. Now look at all of these examples I'm about to write now. The man stole my car. The man was jailed for stealing my car. Now, this is a, let's say, a passage, a text, where we have two sentences. One sentence says, the man stole my car. Another sentence says, the man was jailed for stealing my car. Now, if you remember very well, in primary school, if you've read a particular tiny textbook called Brighter Grammar, while pronoun was being discussed in that textbook, there was a particular passage that was used where the name of a particular character kept recurring over and over and over. Now, and then pronoun was introduced with the aim that you should not have to go through all of these repetitions all the time, and all you just have to do is pick some particular words which are pronouns to replace nouns that have been used over and over in the text. And that's the same thing we want to do for this particular text. Now, the man stole my car. The man was jailed for stealing my car. The man here is a noun phrase. Don't forget, this is no longer primary school where we're just using just pure names. And then the man here is also another noun phrase. Stole my car. Stole is an action verb. My car is another noun phrase, which is the object that happened there. I mean, the object that was stolen in the whole of the passage. Then, and the man here then was jailed for something. And what did they do? For the whole process of stealing my car, like the whole of this sentence. Am I right? Now look at another sentence that expresses the same thing with reduced words this time around and with an instance of cohesion. The man stole my car and he was jailed for that. Now, if you follow the whole of this sentence, you realize that in the first sentence, let's say A, and this is B. Now, in sentences A, we have the man stole my car. The man was jailed for stealing my car. So the man was repeated in the second sentence. But look at this place. The man here is being replaced with he here, a pronoun, a personal pronoun that refers to this subject of the first sentence. That here, a demonstrative. Is replacing the whole of the action of stealing my car. Am I right? So instead of having to go through the process of repeating stealing my car or stole my car, we used just a pronoun to replace the whole of 3 to 4 words. Can you imagine that? And then we used just a pronoun to replace the whole of the noun phrase, the man. That is what we talk about under cohesion. And then we used and a conjunction to link the two sentences together. Instead of using a full stop and then starting a new sentence with a capital letter, we bring in a conjunction. So here, the man, a noun phrase, stole my car, the predicate, which contains the predicator and the, now this is the predicate. And in the predicate, we have the predicator and the what? Object or complement extensive. Now, all of this noun phrase, which is your subject, noun phrase subject, is being replaced with he. Am I right? And the whole of stole my car, which is the predicate, is being replaced with that. That is what we call cohesion in a sentence. Do you understand that? So cohesion is to help you to avoid unnecessary repetitions in a text. One is to help you to create an instance of unity. Now there is unity in all of this text because the first sentence and the second sentence are unified just with the introduction of the conjunction and conjunction. So, and these are why we call all of these items sentence connective devices. That's another name we call the whole of cohesion and coherence. Sentence connective devices. And that's why you remember that in the definition of cohesion, I told you that, or in the definition of this whole thing, I told you that these are certain devices that are used to create unity and relevance in a text. I hope you understand this. So sentence A, or sentences A, the man stole my car, the man was jailed for stealing my car. In B, we have the man stole my car and he was jailed for that. He replaces the man, subject. That replaces the whole of the predicate stole my car. Do you understand? I believe you do. So let's go to instance of coherence. Now look at this sentence. Mommy beats John. John had come home late. Now this is a sentence. Let's give another sentence. Mommy beats John. America is a developed country. Now look at these two examples, A and B. Now in the first one, we have Mommy beat John, and then we have a sentence that goes after it, which goes, John had come home late. Now, what is John had come home late doing in this sentence? It is telling us a reason why Mommy beat John. Am I right? Exactly. So, in a way, for us to understand the whole of John had come home late, we may have to depend on the part of Mommy beat John. And for us to understand Mommy beat John, we may also have to look at John had come home late. So you're asking, like, Mommy beat John, and then you're like, why did Mommy beat John? Now the why, or the reason why Mommy beat John, is because John had come home late. Do you understand? But look at the second sentence. Mommy beat John. America is a developed country. Now you want to ask yourself, like, what is the relationship between America is a developed country and Mommy beat John? Zero. Nothing. But what's the correlation between Mommy beat John and John had come home late? A whole lot. Because John had come home late is a reason why Mommy had beaten John. So it's a reason for John being beaten by Mom. Do you understand that? That is what we mean by coherence. So for coherence, we're looking at the fact that the whole of the text is there sense in it. Mommy beat John. America is the developed country. If someone tells you that, wouldn't you look at the person like, are you okay? Like, are you sure you're alright? I mean, what's the sense in America is the developed country as a recourse to Mommy beating John? There is no relationship. But when you say Mommy beat John, John had come home late, oh, we're like, oh, so the reason Mommy beat John was that he came home late. Do you understand that? No. So that is what coherence is all about. Coherence deals with relation of sense or meaning. That is what coherence deals with. Relation of sense or meaning. What coherence deals with connectedness. Like, are they connected? Are they unified? That's just it. Now, let me give you an instance of an example that now comprises both of them. So you now have Mommy beat John because he had come home late. Now, if you look at this sentence, Mommy beat John, first sentence. He had come home late, second sentence. Now, there is something that is joining the two sentences together. Instead of us using a full stop and starting the second sentence as we did in the first case. Look at this. We said Mommy beat John, and then we said John had come home late. But instead of saying that, this time around we said Mommy beat John because John had come home late. So we have used a conjunction here, which is also known as a subordinator, to link the two items together, or the two sentences together. So now Mommy beat John is being linked up with he had come home late just by the use of because. 1. 2, we've also in a way replaced the whole of John with he, the pronoun he, which is also an instance of cohesion. Because an instance of cohesion, he another instance of cohesion. And then the fact that the all of the second sentence B A, the second sentence in a way is a justification for John being beaten, that is coherence. So these two are cohesion, and the whole of the fact that there is a relationship here is what? Coherence. So in this kind of text, we say that this text is what? Cohesive and coherent. Do you understand that? So that's just what cohesion and coherence is all about. So I don't know if you've been confused about the terminology of cohesion and coherence. That's just what cohesion and coherence is all about. Then in our next video you would see types of cohesion and how cohesion and coherence are being applied in passages to create unity and relevance. Thanks so much for viewing. Have a nice day. Bye.